Good evening. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 here to react to this beatdown that Auburn is putting on South Carolina. In case you catch this later and not live, Auburn has a 24-2 lead on the Gamecocks here in the bottom of the sixth. And just frankly, what is, I'm not going to say shocking, because we've seen this coming for South Carolina for a bit potentially, but shocking if you have watched South Carolina baseball back for 20 to 25 years, which I have, and we'll get into that end. There's an end for Auburn. The Tigers are jumping up and seizing, I think, an opportunity to get not just a national seed, but a host. Graham Doty is joining me. Hello, Graham.
Hey.
Yeah, we will reflect on this in just a minute. I think Jay Greason's going to jump in a minute. Your screen's a little blurry, by the way.
I'm telling you right now, my Wi-Fi is not going to be awesome. Hotel Wi-Fi.
Well, the good news is we can hear you. Yeah, we're going to unpack a lot from tonight, because I think this says a lot about both programs at this moment. Jay Greason will be jumping in, I think, in a moment, and maybe Alfred Esmond too. Before we go there, just a reminder, help those people who help our products. That is Chair Bundy. You can see this bottle is empty. That's because I use the product. Also use these. These are the to-go pouches and the gummies, which I don't have with me. They have those for performance. They have those for sleep with melatonin. NCAA teams, NFL teams, use these left and right. If you're anybody using the stuff, I'm using it too. It's great for recovery, for exercise, when a jog or whatever. Chairbundy.com, SE20 is your promo code, 20% off your entire order. Again, encourage you guys to do that. It is a great product. They are a great partner and help those who help the show. Graham, I will just be honest. I'll start here. My son had a concert at school tonight that I had to attend, so I missed the first couple innings. Come back, thinking I'm going to settle in and see how this ends down the stretch. Walk in the door, it's the fourth inning. It is 14-1, and Auburn is still going. And I'm like, what in the world is this? Since then, it's just gotten worse. We have seen grand slams. We've seen, 5 home runs tonight? We've seen teams use pitchers that I was barely aware were on the roster. Look, in baseball, stuff happens sometimes, right? We'll see a team have a horrible night one night. But we've been kind of hinting after it a while. The stuff that has been, how do I say this? When they're writing articles about, is Paul Mainieri going to make it out of the year, and morale does not seem to be good, it begs some questions of, how invested is this team in finishing out the season? Again, I missed a lot of it, but looking at the final score, we're not even to the final score yet. Who knows what's going to be once we get there? But it doesn't feel like that's a program in a great place. And again, we're going to talk about Auburn. Speaking of Auburn, Jay Greason is here joining us now. Yeah, I'm just, and I don't say this with any, how do I put this? It's easy fodder when you see something like this happening, right? When a team is just getting its clock cleaned, when Auburn is just taking South Carolina to the woodshed, it prompts jokes. It prompts a lot of stuff. I'm going to tell you, I don't think there should be any glee in this, because I remember watching where Ray Tanner had this program. I respected him. I respected the heck of how they played. They were tough. They were hard-nosed. They were gritty. They never gave you an inch. Those teams that won 2 national titles and darn near won a third were not the most talented teams I've ever seen. Michael Roth is the poster child for that program. A guy who was a nobody, who made his star in Omaha and ended up becoming a superstar in college baseball and grinding out and pitching briefly for the Angels. I remember Adrian Morales and Wingo and Jackie Bradley Jr. up the middle. And before that, Landon Powell And it wasn't always a team. Now, they had some guys. Christian Walker was a great player for them. Justin Smoke before him was great. Walker is still playing in the big leagues at a pretty high level. But it was a program that was built on pride and grinding and executing anything and everything in sight, pitches, defense, you name it. South Carolina was the standard for college baseball 15 years ago. To see what is happening in Carolina, I hate it, because that program is better than this. It deserves better than this right now. I don't know what is going on, but it is a shock to the system to come in and see a score like the one we're seeing tonight. And again, if you're just joining, we're going to talk plenty about Auburn. But when you're a proud program like South Carolina, you got 5 league wins going into the weekend. You got the drumbeat of all the stuff going around. And then this shows up tonight. I think that begs a conversation.
Graham, before you start talking about details in terms of coaches and hot seats and whatever else, and I have meant to bring this up multiple times over the last couple of weeks. Clemson broke South Carolina this year. South Carolina's like what, 12-0, 13-0, and then they go across the state and Clemson sweeps them. And from there, it has been a downward spiral of inexplicability to, I mean, tonight was baby seals meet bat. It was, and for God's sakes, man, Auburn didn't even give the ball to Sam Dutton. And I know they can explain that by they want to keep him on the Friday rotation plan. But a guy who – was he making his first college start? Was Tilly making his first college start?
No, he started I want to say he started 1 or 2 of the last couple of weekends as they kind of search for that third guy. But he has been mostly a reliever. And he's good, and he's a good one, but he's not Sam Dutton. Yeah.
So they pluck a guy who – I mean, this might as well have been Alabama State on a Tuesday at Plainsman Park.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the 2 takeaways here are the impressive litany of Auburn freshmen who are delivering time and time again. And what does South Carolina do? Because this is not South Carolina baseball.
A lot to unpack. I guess let's touch on South Carolina first. And Chris, everything you said was well said, and I mean, I don't really have anything to add. This was one of the premier programs in like the mid to late 2000s, early.
Well, Graham's Wi-Fi is not cooperating.
The Paul Mainieri gave. Am I back? Okay.
Yeah, so now you're back.
I'm in the middle of nowhere in Illinois, so I'm hotel Wi-Fi. So I apologize if it's awful.
Yeah, and they're showing Paul Mainieri in the dugout with just kind of a blank stare. I mean, I think that, and I promise you, we're going to get to Auburn because there's a lot of good to talk about with Auburn. But when they're writing articles about him, and there's been talk that the buyout is what, $5 million if they get rid of him at a time where I think, is that what it is?
That's just that's not counting the assistants. Like Monty Lee makes over $1 million. Rooney, the pitching coach, is like at $850. So like if they want to make a move, it's going to cost about $10 million.
Yeah, and his comments to the media lately have not been great. Anyway, yeah, it is 24-2 as we speak. South Carolina batting in the top of the 7th. So, hey, two more outs here for Auburn, and we can put this one in the books officially. Quantrill knows that's chump change. Hey, $7 million isn't chump change for much of anybody. Maybe the Texas schools, but hey, look who's here. Our resident South Carolina beat guy when he's not a resident Florida beat guy. Good evening, Alfred.
And now in Tennessee. Hello, guys. Nice to be back finally after this move. Not an exciting game to be back for, though, to be quite honest. I mean, yeah, that's simple.
Jay, I'm not trying to freeze you out here. Go ahead. I'm sorry. But I was going to say, Alfred's been the guy. Like you were at fall ball with them and everything. You covered them. You've got a decent beat on the program. The vibes just have not been good lately. I think we can just kind of leave it there without going a lot further. I was just going to give you the mic to speak a minute. Then we're going to talk Auburn in a second, Jay.
Yeah, none of their players outside of Ethan Petrie and Nathan Hall have taken jumps of any sort like they were supposed to. It's not really come from the pitching staff, although Jarvis Evans has been good at times. It's been disappointing, to say the least. I didn't really expect this team to go out and win a national title year one, but you expected them to make an NCAA tournament at least with what they have. So, to come in and do this is just not what South Carolina fans want whatsoever. The bad news too is that they're the only SEC game on tonight. So this is like plastered in front of everybody. They can't really hide behind these bigger series anymore on the weekends. So now that it's, in front of everyone and this bad of a loss, it's really starting to become, a huge deal. And I know that we saw something, the state reported that they wouldn't make a move until after the season. I wouldn't rule anything out at this point after this. I mean, I think it's gotten that bad, and it's just, it's disheartening to see, to be quite honest, not just for South Carolina, but for Paul Mainieri too.
I mean, like, here's the situation. The AD that's there obviously didn't hire him, but guys, like $10 million for baseball, that is a lot of money. Like, that's unheard of in college baseball, to do something that's not a scandal, anything like that. And then again, like, where are they in men's basketball? Football, they're fine. You got to keep men's basketball. They were one of 2 teams that didn't make the tournament in the league this year. So, money that grow on trees. I mean, you got to be really smart
than any other program.
You guys talked at like the same time just now. I don't know if.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's 100%.
Sorry.
Graham, you were 100% right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but the South Carolina spends more with Dawn Staley on women's hoops than any other program in the league. I mean, you got to pick and choose where you're putting your shackles at this point.
Yeah. I do wonder about that dynamic there. They do not. I mean, they got Ethan Petrie and they kept him last year. And boy, there were some teams that would have wanted Ethan Petrie, who, by the way, South Carolina fans know this. He's done for the year. Next ball we'll see him play will be in a minor league uniform. To make matters worse. But hey, let's talk Auburn a second, guys, because Auburn tonight, my goodness. Auburn's got as much to play for as Auburn wants to play for. We're talking hosting. We're talking national seeds. The metrics are all there. If you end the tournament right now, I think Auburn is a national seed based on the metrics, based on the body of work, the accomplishment, the strength of schedule. People have commented in the chat about Auburn's freshman hitters. I mean, let's go through the carnage tonight. Chris Rembert, 3 for 6, 1 home run, 3 runs scored, 6 RBIs. Ike Irish has got a home run, 4 RBIs. Eric Guevara, home run, 5 RBIs. Was he the guy that hit the grand slam? I think it was. or was it Rembert? I don't remember now. There's been so much. You've got Lucas Steele has got a home run tonight. Auburn has wrapped out 20 hits, taken 5 walks, and been hit by 5 pitches. That's 30 base runners, and they're not even going to hit a 7th time.
You leave just enough for this Auburn team and they'll get you. That's what happened with Tennessee last weekend, and it's happening again tonight. This is, teams have got to start really bringing their A game when they play this Auburn team, and not just, bat an eye at them. Especially, I mean, I'm with you, Chris. They're a national seed at this point. I don't see how you can't put them in there, in that group. And at this point, they could beat anybody they want to if they put it all together and they catch a team lacking. So really like where they're at. And, at this point, South Carolina is a get right series, just like Missouri is.
I think Auburn starting Cam Tilley tonight and getting that much out of him too is a big deal. With Auburn, Dutton has been just an anchor of that staff. Christian Chatterton has been really good. At times, you kind of want, though, guys, another veteran to step up and be that guy that's played in regionals and had a lot of experience. I think I'm trying to remember who else they've started at times. They've gone with Cade Fisher, of course, who was really terrific last week in Knoxville in relief in that game 3 of Chatterton, who went 3 really good innings and then gave way to Fisher, which at the time I thought was kind of a mistake, but it worked out. You got Andreas Alvarez has given him stuff at times. You got a bullpen of Parker Carlson and Alex Petrovic and John Armstrong, who's pitched there seemingly forever. Suddenly, this is a team that's got a lot of options, and I think to see Cam Tilley go this deep into a game, this effectively, is just another sign that this team is really starting to put it together at the right time, guys.
I think that's 100% fair and accurate, especially offensively. I mean, all of these guys, when you're starting to touch it and pass it back, and I mean, the way Auburn was connecting with the baseball, you didn't know, unless you're really familiar with the Auburn lineup, whether it was the 3-hitter or the 8-hitter, the way they were squaring up South Carolina. And again, the opponent matters. But Auburn's approach offensively, everything was squared, everything was compact, and their pitch selection was pretty doggone good. And I get it. There's still a lot of doubt in the chat and the comments about whether Auburn is truly legit. I'm buying stock in this Auburn bunch.
Yeah. Hey, look, Butch Thompson gets more out of his roster year in and year out than just about anybody. And that sounds like a backhanded compliment. But this team has got some real talent. Ike Irish, we talked about today, is middle of the first round pick. He's now got 10 home runs. That is leading the league in conference play. I think Bub Terrell, Chase Freilich are going to play a lot of ball. They're going to go down. Chris Rembert, those 3 guys alone have got a chance to go down as Auburn legends. I think Cooper McMurray has been maybe his underrated player in this league, as we've seen the last 3 years. They've got a dude on Friday night on par with anybody, with the possible exception of Kyson Witherspoon and Liam Doyle, who are more dominant and sexier pitchers, and I get it, but I'll take Sam Dutton and put him up in the ballpark of anybody. We just talked about the pitching they're finding. Hey, look, if you're sleeping on this team and you're not taking them that seriously, that's on you. And I'm not saying Tennessee did last week, because I don't know that for a fact. I don't think that's the fact. But if that's what happened, Tennessee found out, anybody else that faces this bunch is going to find out too.
Yeah. What do we make of Chris's question, or I guess just statement in the chats about Rembert for SEC Freshman of the Year? Where are you guys on that?
Too many good ones. It's unfortunate. Maybe in a lot of years he would, but too many other good ones. He's up there. He's on an all freshman team. But I mean, you got Derek Curiel, Dylan Volantis, all these other guys. It's just too hard. And it's unfortunate. It reminds me last year of like Christian Moore. Do you guys remember with Charlie Condon? It was like, oh, yeah. Christian Moore every other year, SEC Player of the Year, but Charlie Condon exists in 2024. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But he's been phenomenal and very much worth mentioning among the best freshmen in the league. But yeah, I just think there's too many good ones to pick him. Unfortunately, may receive a few votes or something, but I don't know. I think it's a long shot in all realness.
I don't think it's as far-fetched as you think. I'm going to give you some numbers I had for them coming into today. And he will have added to that number. Oh, where did I put it? Rembert, and this is the old Bill James runs created formula, and it's actually prorated to what the team did. He'd created 40 runs coming into tonight and is averaging 10 per 27 outs. Derek Curiel, his numbers were 51 and 11.6. So there's still going to be a gap there statistically. Now, Auburn has played a tougher schedule. I don't know how you'd parse the defense. I haven't watched both of them enough to know. But here's my point. If you want to account for schedule, and I'd have to look at SEC numbers too. I know Curiel has gotten on base, Alfred, every time but one. So he's been pretty consistent. But it's a little bit more in the ballpark than I would have thought until I looked it up. And that's not any disrespect to Chris Rembert. That's just how good Curiel's been. I think we both thought, hey, that one's been settled for a while because of how well he'd played. But there's some time left on this one.
It might come down to the wire a little bit. I'll give you that. There's still another weekend after this. Yeah. There's still this weekend. I mean, it's only Thursday. So, yeah, it might get a little closer.
And he
wouldn't be my pick right now. Sorry, Jay.
No, you're good. For all the folks who are, I don't know. I mean, I understand still having doubts because Auburn's going into this one was 2 games over 500 in the SEC. But Auburn's got a real chance to place top 3 in Player of the Year in Ike Irish, Pitcher of the Year in Sam Dutton, Coach of the Year in Butch Thompson, and Freshman of the Year of the dude we were just discussing. So, I mean, that's pretty doggone impressive.
Josh, I love you. I'm going to have to disagree with you here. And I get that wasn't Tennessee's best baseball last weekend. Man, Auburn guys, they've taken 2 out of 3 from Vandy, which if you pick it right now is a national seed. Took 2 out of 3 at Kentucky. You know, not one that you frame, but that's a good series win. Kentucky is in the NCAA tournament. If you pick it today, took 2 out of 3 from a rival in Alabama. Only game you lost was by 1 run. You swept LSU. You did get kind of clocked by Texas. Friday night was 1 run. The others got away from you. You took 2 or 3 from Mississippi State and 2 or 3 at Tennessee. Not to mention had the series earlier in the year where they beat Ohio State, Oregon State, Baylor. Back. Oregon State is a host right now. Baylor with the hot streak could get in the discussion for the tournament. Hey, look, number 1 strength of schedule in the country according to RPI. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's accurate to say Auburn got lucky to beat anybody at this point.
Josh, you also said that, like, are they a national seed with 17 SEC wins? ? They're heading into tonight. They're 3rd in the RPI, 8th in the country, and have won all the series we just named. They're a national seed. Like that's what that is. So I mean, you know, whatever stuff last weekend, they did get the series win over Tennessee, and they put themselves in this really good spot. So, that's where they at. That's a good point too by Forrest. Those are really good wins they got over Georgia Tech.
And I think beat Troy, which would be in a regional today. Jacksonville State's not a horrible team. Sanford's usually a pretty good program. I'm like, they aren't playing teams for the most part in the midweek. Now there's been a few, But every Tuesday is not slaughter day at Auburn. I mean, they're playing some teams that can compete with you in a midweek. So that's a great point too, including 2 wins over a Georgia Tech team that's a 2 seed right now if you pick the field.
Yeah, and then he follows it up with, has an SEC team ever, a national seed from the SEC ever had 17 wins? I think what you have to consider is just whatever, like, their strength of schedule is number uno, and then what their RPI is going to be. So that's what they have in their back pocket. And then if they win the final 2 series, like, they're going to be in really good shape. So I'm with you guys on that series last weekend. Josh does ask and make some good points though earlier in the chat. Whenever you guys want to get back to them,
sure, pull them up if you like, or can you do that?
One of the first things he said I thought was interesting. His worry as a Tennessee fan, again, this is Josh, South Carolina does what they should have done last year, hire Josh Elander, assistant coach at Tennessee, an incredible recruiter, hitting coach. The players absolutely love him. So that was one. Yeah, how good is the South Carolina program now? Boy, that's a fascinating question. I think you got to remember how different the landscape is now in college athletics and when it was when they were rolling. And then the point that Chris made earlier. Okay, they're the only team in the SEC where their women's basketball program is going to have more NIL than the baseball program. That's a very small list of schools in the conference. So like that is a very real thing that South Carolina has to deal with. So, and then again, like another thing that Josh Carter asked, like, what's a worse hire by a former coach / AD? Ray Tanner hiring Paul Mainieri or Philip Fulmer hiring Jeremy Pruitt?
Wow. Well, I mean, look, at least Paul Mainieri, he won a natty at LSU, what, in 2009? Won a ton of games down there, went to a regional or a super the last year he was coach. I mean, Paul Mainieri is no joke as a coach, right? Now, maybe sitting out, was it 3 seasons, Alfred?
Yes.
Yep,
2021.
Maybe the game has changed so much in that time because, I mean, let's face it, the game has changed. College baseball changed more in the last 3 years than it probably had the 30 before that. With NIL, the portal, all that stuff. I mean, we used to be an environment in Paul Mainieri's coaching tenure at LSU, okay? This was the setup at one point. You didn't poach anybody else's recruits. Like, you didn't even call somebody else's commits. We've talked about that before.
Yep.
But at one point, when you transferred, you sat out a year.
You're good. Hey.
I mean, there was a lot of difference. Kids, got paid in scholarships, and that was it. It doesn't even remotely resemble now most of his tenure at LSU. And I'm not disrespecting Paul Mainieri. I think when you win a natty, you have as much success as he is. You coach at a place like LSU, as long as he did, he had success. I can't speak. He had success at Notre Dame too. Mm-hmm. I don't take that lightly. I don't think Paul Mainieri just suddenly became a dummy. But I do think you have to wonder, has the game changed so much that the time and energy you need to put into it and the way of dealing with kids is now so foreign that, is he equipped to handle it? I mean, just based on what we got right now, it doesn't look great, right? Go ahead, Jay.
Well, not only does it not look great, whether the game changes or not, when your team quits on you because they got swept last weekend and 24-2, and I don't know what the final turned out to be, they have quit on him. So unless the NIL is going to pony up $10 million or they're going to pony up $10 million to buy out the staff, there's going to need to be a whole lot of overhaul because there's a whole lot of quit in Columbia, South Carolina right now. And I don't give a doggone if that's today or that's 40 years ago.
Yeah. I don't like saying that word because, I mean, how do you prove it? But man, it is so hard to dispute that. I mean, it is. And again, here's the thing: if South Carolina, if they give him another season, like you're going to have to nail the portal because you got to think you're going to have a lot of movement. So like they're going to have to crush the portal, whatever their high school recruiting is. And then like, do they shake things up with his staff? So like, even if they keep him, what does that look like moving forward? And to answer the Jeremy Pruitt question, Paul Mainieri hasn't sued this university yet. He hadn't pulled a Mr. Jeremy Pruitt yet.
Well, I mean, Pruitt got in trouble and then got canned because he was delivering NIL money in a McDonald's bag, but it was only like 18 months before he could actually deliver NIL money in a McDonald's bag.
Right. Let's see. What did they do in their midweek? I guess they didn't have a midweek. I thought they had one scheduled. They didn't. But let's work a little backwards. Tonight it's 24-2. Last game against Florida last week, 8-0. The middle game they got beat 22-3, and then 9-5 in the opener. I mean, reads a lot to me like they've thrown in the towel after that opener. Probably not fair to say, but my goodness, the scores are so lopsided. And look, early in the season they were getting beat, but I mean, let's go back to March 28th. Tennessee in Columbia got a 4-run win, a 2-run win, and a 5-run win. Carolina was clearly overmatched, but they were hanging in and competing. And I remember Carolina had leads into the middle and late inning of some of those games.
I wish Ole Miss played them a different weekend.
Yeah. The only team that they beat, which seems like it's 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah. The other thing moving forward for South Carolina, like Ray Tanner, you are a legend. Like you deserve a statue, all that stuff. You're going to have to like distance yourself, from the program, especially since he's not the athletic director anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine if Nick Saban was just hanging out at practice in Tuscaloosa still? Or like during an Alabama football game, he goes up in the booth and puts on a headset?
Yeah.
Well, every Alabama fan I know wants him to.
I'm sure they do.
Well, and Ray Tanner's the guy that made that hire, and I think most of the people here know this, but Ray Tanner made that hire, and then a couple of months later stepped down, which kind of put everybody in a bad spot, including Paul Mainieri.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know this, but like I'm sure Paul was like, "Wait a minute, what happened?"
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Tomorrow, I presume we will get. And by the way, we did the Auburn preview today. Somebody called us out in the comments. I did not think about last week Dutton going on Saturday. So he probably never was going to go tonight, which he didn't. They talked about moving him back. So I guess we get Dutton tomorrow. Did they put out the pitching rotations? I didn't check. When we did the previews this morning, I did not see them. So
they did. We're going to get Jake McCoy and Sam Dutton tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think maybe we'll know a little bit more whether South Carolina's got it in them to play competitive baseball, but maybe we won't because a lot of people have looked uncompetitive against Sam Dutton. And by the way, LSU ends its season with Paul Mainieri in South Carolina. Yeah. So how about that as a parting gift before you you go to submit your resume to the committee for a national seed?
Lots of storylines. But like Alfred, wouldn't you agree? It seems like the issue is mostly with the pitching aspect of it. I mean, like it's all the rumblings, like it's been that side of it.
None of them have like shown any signs of peaking when they were supposed to. That we're headed in that direction. Like Matthew Becker's a really prime example of it, or even like Jake McCoy at times and stuff like that. The one guy who I've been like, oh, he's been okay, on certain occasions is Jarvis Evans, but he's been practically midweeks other than rotational guys being hurt. Then he'll get thrown in on weekends. So it's not really the main one you want out there, standing out as the most improved, although it's good for him in his career. It's not what you want as a team as a whole. So that's what I've seen. And really, I think it's everyone pretty much other than Nathan Hall and Ethan Petrie. to be quite honest. And you'll get spurt games out of the support players every now and then, but that's it. Thank you, Josh Carter.
All right.
The strike zone from last week is still an issue, and I can't really say I totally blame Josh for that.
You guys ready to have some fun? Okay, let's say South Carolina, that job comes open. What's a better job today? Mississippi State, South Carolina.
State.
Because you don't have the women's basketball NIL.
And I think the Braves is a better job. So I think the Braves.
I agree with you guys, by the way, but why do you lean Mississippi State?
Way better history, and I mean, just look at. I think as to like advertise it to recruits, I think you'll have a better job of doing it there. But with the well, actually, I won't say that. Both fields are really nice, but I do think overall, yeah, you have a better time projecting it to recruits.
It's also goes back to, I do agree with State, but in the 15 years since Tanner had them at the apex of college baseball, they're the number one program in women's basketball. A year ago, not this past year, but the year before, they were the surprise team of the SEC in basketball. Shane Beamer's the buzz of the town. If you go there and turn it around, you're competing for eyeballs within your NIL and within your community. If you go to Starkville and make a splash as the baseball coach, you're the toast of the town.
Yep.
The last year that Carolina was in the college, let's see, Ray Tanner, I'm checking this to make sure I get it right. I believe they won the national title in 2010 and 2011, and Arizona beat them in Game 3 of 2012. I was pretty sure I had that right, but I had to check it.
Right.
You guys know how many times South Carolina's been to Omaha since then?
Zero.
Okay, and I've been looking up Mississippi State too for a similar comparison in that time frame.
A lot. They've been to Omaha a lot.
Well, and it's not just that, right? They went in 2013 under John Cohen. I think, was that the year they were national runners up? Yeah,
Yep.
It was. They went to a super regional in Cohen's last year, 16. Andy Canizero took them to a super in 2017. Canizero and Henderson took over after the scandal. Gary Henderson took them to the College World Series in 2018. Chris Lamonis took them to the College World Series in 2019 and 2021. And of course, they won it in 21. Here's my point. Since South Carolina last made Omaha, State has been to the College World Series with 3 different coaches.
Yep.
They've been to the, they've been to the
super
NCAA
regionals.
tournament. Yeah, that too. And they've been to the NCAA tournament as a whole like 50 quadrillion times. So it's, and I would imagine it's more tournament appearances than South Carolina, although I guess they both have kind of made it a healthy amount, at least make it. So, but I think most people would tell you State.
Yeah, it's definitely State. But one thing to keep an eye on, Mississippi State, they announced it today. So a lot of the money that they do have, they are now dumping it into football facilities. They don't have a football IPF, and they announced today that they're about to spend a lot of money on that.
Well, speaking of spending a lot of money, I hate to cover Alfred's face, but in this case, I will do it. Quinn with the $99.99 super chat, which he's left a few of those. Thank you, Quinn. Maybe the most loyal supporter of our show. Thrilled you were at the ball game tonight. Good for you that you got to experience that. I think your team is going to be playing in that building a few more times after the SEC season ends. They are headed squarely on collision course with a regional and I think probably a super at this rate too.
Yeah, Quinn, please go to more games.
Yes.
You can, and my face can be covered with these all night if we want to.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you. Quinn we always appreciate super chats. Josh left this one earlier. Josh is one of our more loyal guys too. Hey,
Well,
that helps us pay the bills around here. Memberships too are important. We're gonna have some members only content this weekend, so thank you to those who support our show. And I'm just gonna go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. What we're gonna do, we have recaps after every series, and I think on Sunday night we'll have a quick free recap for maybe 30 minutes. We will then turn it over to a more extended version of the recap. We'll reflect on kind of what we learned on the weekend. And if I've got the time, I'm not going to do like a full bracket, but I think if I can spend a little time on it, I'll have maybe a better picture on where all the SEC teams stand in the hosting conversations too. So that's what we've got coming up. So if you join the membership tier, it's $3 a month. And you're going to get something out of that for sure. Holy smokes. What is going on here?
Ditto, Jay.
If you want us to cover Alfred's face for an extended period of time.
Well, I mean, hey, Quinn and I are kindred spirits, apparently. We both just throw money everywhere, and we love the Auburn Tigers.
Jay, I'm going to let you speak for a
Quinn.
while because of that. As a resident Auburn guy.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, we've seen some folks bring some stuff up about and Josh is one of our great commentators, and I know he was just trying to poke because I thought Alfred made a really good point about the magnitude of this being the only game all of the SEC baseball fans got to see tonight. So we saw all of South Carolina's warts, and we saw Auburn put their foot in the slipper and explode out of any type of Cinderella conversation. This team, brother, if Tilly is going to be a reliable guy, and you're talking about a second or a third or even a emergency starter or a long guy, look out. I mean, Ike Irish is a top 15 MLB draft pick and has been playing like the player of the year for the last 6 to 8 weeks. And we consistently talk about how great Sam Dutton is. But when you talk about having a bell cow one that you're going to hand the ball to in game one of a regional or a super regional, and all these freshmen now starting to believe throughout the lineup, this is a team. Look, I know our Arkansas fans, and I've been high on Arkansas all season. I think Arkansas is the best team in the country. I don't know if Arkansas wants to see Auburn right now. And I mean that with nothing but respect to how great I think Arkansas has been all year.
All right. You know the game I like to play. It's called How Effectively Can You Cover 27 Innings? So you guys play along with me here, okay? I'm going to say Sam Dutton, and I'm going to be a tad conservative just so we don't go crazy, because if you go crazy on 8 pitchers and you give them all more of an inning than you should have, then you've covered a lot more ground. I'm going to say Sam Dutton's good for 6 really great innings every weekend. Sometimes more, but let's just stop there. So that's 6. I'm going to say Christian Chatterton can give them probably 4. So that's 10. Carson Myers clearly can give them 4 at least. So that's 14. I'm going to say Cade Fisher can give them 3. That's 17. I'm sorry. I went probably one more on Myers than I should. So that's 16. Cam Tilley can give them 4. That's 20. Hetzler can give them 2. That's 22. Parker Carlson can give them a couple. That's 24. Petrovich and Armstrong can give them 1 each. That's 26. And then find an inning somewhere from Dylan Watts or somebody. Maybe even Hayden Murphy, who's talented. It just hasn't. Griffin Graves, better example. Or Jack. Point is, I got to 27 innings right there, which is what you need to pitch in a weekend. And we weren't getting to cringe territory with any of those kids.
No, Chris, you won the game.
There we go.
Yeah,
and guys, that's why Auburn's winning games. I know that after Dutton, it's not household names, but man, they've been effective. And here's what I like, guys. Armstrong, Carlson, Dylan Watts, Murphy, Mason Coke's down there too. He's barely pitched. I don't remember if that's an injury situation. They threw Ben Shore tonight, just kind of in mop-up duty. We've seen great stuff out of Andres Alvarez. He's a freshman. It comes and goes. I mean, Carson Myers has pitched a bunch of innings. See, that's what I like. They got a lot of guys who have pitched a lot of ball as collegiates. And you love to have that out of your bullpen in the postseason because those are guys that have been there and seen situations, and they're a whole lot less likely to be fazed by them.
Especially Myers.
Yes. I think Quinn just left us all speechless.
Yeah, Quinn, thank you.
More super chat.
This is awesome. Josh, you too. Thank you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Josh. And Josh has been here. I mean, I feel like every time we turn the stream on, Josh is here.
Yeah.
And Sam too, although we missed Sam a little recently here and there.
Was Josh the guy a couple of chats ago who called me the high blood pressure guy? Did you guys see that in the chat? It said the guy with the high blood pressure. Because, and to be honest, I do have a red face. I look a little bit like Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, but it's because I've been at a softball field for like 18 consecutive days, and I may not be the best at the sunscreen applications. And you can see the sun, you can see the sunglasses around the eye circles. So, but I do. Okay. Well, Josh, if it wasn't you, I'm sorry, but whoever said it, I thought it was hilarious because I'm willing to take my shots, but I'm also willing to accept shots. So if you guys agree or disagree, feel free to fire away.
What is going on here? I think people just don't want to see Alfred and Graham at this point, maybe. That's all I can figure.
It must be.
Well, we just got Alfred.
We got to shout out
Alfred, you moved into your new place and you don't have your hat rack behind you. We can't figure out where you're going next. I mean,
it's a prison cell in here right now, so we got to improve that. So that's probably why they want to cover it up for the time being and decorate it a little. Chris,
unfortunately, I don't think they can cover Jay and I up unless we switch screens. Somebody would, if somebody could figure out a way to pay for that, they probably would, and I wouldn't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
Nor would I. All right, hey, last question for the group before we get to our final takeaways, but I think this leads into it. Is this more of a statement of Auburn being good or a statement of the dire straits of South Carolina tonight?
Yes.
I think it's both, but I mean, Auburn is good. I mean, they're really, really good, but I kind of think it's a little bit of both.
Exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say a little bit of both too. South Carolina is just out of it, and I think you hate saying this, but I think it's a little hard to deny it too. They kind of want this season to be done and over with. As for Auburn, they are hungry. They know they're good. They're on the brink of a possible national seed if they aren't, and that they showed it tonight in front of everybody. Also, Chris, I did not think we'd get a chat like that on an SEC baseball show.
Oh, sorry. It says we're talking about the mob. Let's go. I think that's in reference to that one. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not a superstitious guy.
Yeah.
I think that was just Duke coming together.
Yeah. Jackson's right. Alvarez is a really good arm. Sometimes as a freshman, it's uneven, but man, I've seen him when he's on. He's going to be one of their next dudes.
Oh, Cletus's last post.
I just saw that.
Great.
What do you think about that?
That's outstanding.
I think among the three, South Carolina's got the best chance to climb out of the hole.
They're getting close to that group.
See, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
Hey, not only do they have the titles, all three of them had iconic coaches that made those programs into what they are. And after the fact, they're all thinking, well, that's our program. Maybe it was the coaches where you're talking about an Osborne, a Tanner, and a Bobby Knight.
All right, this is the part where I speak out of both sides of my mouth, okay? Because I just said I don't know that you know that might be a little harder to recover from than those other two ones. But and I say that I'm kind of joking because I think there's always multiple sides, okay? For one, South Carolina has been great at baseball for a very long period of time. Now that's in the rearview mirror a little bit. I mean, I say that, man. I remember watching them 2 years ago in Nashville. They had a really, really good team that I thought was national title caliber. They had some injuries. They caught some bad breaks, and it's just kind of a footnote in history now. But I've seen them still be pretty good. Ethan Petrie coming into the season, if you pick an outfielders on your team, he's a really good starting point for any program in the country. I mean, maybe not a great outfielder, but the bat's pretty loud. Could have played anywhere. It's not that long. They were in a regional last year, guys. I mean, I know they haven't been to Omaha in a while, but that's still an accomplishment. I think to me, somebody said, how good of a job is it? And this is where my head went. And maybe because I think Josh is the guy that asked it. How good of a job was Tennessee 10 years ago?
In baseball, not very good.
Horrible. I mean, I talk to people. I'm not going to name a name here, but trust me, this guy would know. Said they're just not committed to baseball. Mm-hmm. And then you see where they are. I mean, right now, if you had to say, who's the premier program in college baseball, it might well be them. I mean, could be a lot of teams. My point is, we're not going to get in that argument. But 10 years ago, everybody said that job sucked. Well,
is it the job or the guy?
See, that's where I'm getting. I think it can be both, but you get the right guy, man, you're in this league. I mean, with the possible exception of Missouri, and I would have said Kentucky, you couldn't do it there. Look at what Nick Mingione's done. He went to Omaha last year. He's won the league, come close a couple other times. You get the right guy, you can be something in this league. You can be great. You can be a national power. Now, the difference is the money and how many resources are going to that women's basketball program. Football is in a great spot. Shane Beamer's got it rolling there. They're going to compete maybe for a playoff berth this year. So where's the appetite at this moment to pay $7 million to make that coaching staff go away and then fund what you need? I mean, you could argue the better use for that money, if you're going to spend $7 million on baseball, do you just give it to Paul Mainieri and let him go with rosters next year in the portal? I think I just want to know where Paul Mainieri's head is in this. Does he have the energy to take it on? Do they have issues dealing with players? And I think if you get your answer there and it's no, then you make a change. But if the answer is, okay, we think we can salvage this, that's a lot of money you can put towards making his situation better. And for the record, I don't know what the right call is. I really don't. I'm not there. I'm not an insider. Somebody could be watching this, knowing the situation and laughing, going, this guy's an idiot. This is the deal. He's clueless. You might be right. But that's how I see it.
I think a part of the Paul Mainieri South Carolina thing, he's not your typical head coach in that he doesn't really do a lot of coach speak. I mean, like, he's pretty open and honest, and like he'll say what's on his mind and like how he feels. You don't get that a lot. And so like some of these quotes are like, oh boy, you probably shouldn't have said that out loud. I mean, like to media, like before games, after games, and then it was the one that it did on the radio station that kind of blew up, right? I kind of think that's a part of it. So it's kind of what he's saying and then the product on the field, which is why, we're talking about it right now, and which is why it's a thing in Columbia right now.
Yeah, Eric is one of our resident LSU guys. Always got great insights. Brings out that basically in baseball you can get blown out, and you can. I just think this one's a little different because, I mean, we're not going to share the text we were kind of throwing around during this week, but we were all kind of like, okay, do we have a collapse coming? Because the vibes coming out of Columbia right now are not great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, we did have a collapse coming. I mean, yes, anybody can get blown out, but I was fully prepared for like in the 5th inning, and Quinn was at the game, that South Carolina was just going to throw a glove at shortstop and a glove at second base and then roll the dice. I mean, just put a handful of dudes on the field and say, okay. I was completely ready for Shane Beamer to come out and pitch the 5th. I mean, okay.
Might as well.
Would have been appropriate. It was a football score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty ticked off about giving up a safety, I guess. But, I mean, here's the thing. And Graham, you said this when we went live talking about the change in Starkville. When you know, you know. When you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's that ballpark look like the final weekend against LSU? I mean, if it's a ghost town, like, money talks. You see it in football all the time. Like, I was in school when Coach O was the head coach. Northwestern State came to town, and there were like 12,000 people there.
Well, when I watch them on TV, and it's, you know, I probably tuned in to watch them 8 or 9 times at various points. I feel like when they show the pan shot of the fans behind the batter's boxes, I don't ever feel like that place is half full just in the what we see. I feel like passion and attendance have been lacking there all year. And I feel like it's maybe been that way for a couple of years. I could be wrong about that. By the way, Quinn's saying, is there going to be a doubleheader tomorrow? Did they change the schedule?
I'll fact check it.
Okay. There's a lot of expectation of weather through the weekend.
Right. Well, because of course there is. It's an SEC baseball weekend.
Yeah, doubleheader tomorrow and 1 o'clock Central.
Okay, has anything else been changed? Any other series?
It's going to be pretty in Knoxville. I don't think any rain.
Okay.
Well, it's because you moved up there, Alfred.
It has to be, right?
You brought your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. To answer your question, Josh, like, yes, facilities are not an issue with South Carolina.
Yeah, they have a nice building. I've been in there. It's been a minute, but I've been in the new stadium. By the way, RPI update. Auburn now is 3 in the RPI, which I think it might have been 3 coming into the night.
Yes.
Number 2, strength of schedule, 13 and 10 in quad 1, 6 and 1 in quad 2. That's 19 and 11 in the first 2 quads. It's absolutely a national seed resume. The only really there's only 2 things that are blemishes on Auburn's resume. 6 and 9 mark on the road, 11 and 3 in quad 3. But the rest of the body of work has been so strong that it all, that's all baked in. 3 in the RPI, and I think top 5 probably in KPI after tonight, I would guess.
So 3 in Athens, 3 in Austin.
Say that again.
4 the losses on the road that you bring up, 3 in Athens, 3 in Austin.
Yeah, places where nobody's winning.
Graham, you sounded right there like you were one of those people who had their trachea cut out from smoking too much and went rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. I mean, hey, you're the LaQueen.
Holiday in Illinois.
Yeah, that may be our cue here as we reach almost an hour. So we'll end it. Hey, thank you for your super chats, Josh, Quinn, and gosh, we had another one. We have so many comments. Yeah.
Hey,
Chris, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
yeah.
That Chris, yeah.
And remind them about the extra content come Sunday.
Join the membership tier. Going to have bonus podcast after our regular one on Sunday night. We will do reactions Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night to these games. So get that $3 membership. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for being here. Big night for Auburn baseball. Interested to see where it goes with the Gamecocks. For Jay Greason, Graham Doty, Alfred Esmond, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Have a great night. You've been watching Southeastern 16.